Today we start a new unit on sequences, and we're going to begin with arithmetic sequences. Now, a sequence is just a list of numbers, and an arithmetic sequence is a list of numbers where we get the next number by adding something. And the thing that we add stays constant every time, and that constant is called the common difference and abbreviated with a D. Now, if we're adding, and it seems weird it's called a difference, but we find this difference by subtracting. So here's an example. This is a sequence. It's just a list of numbers. I'm going to label this list with the letter A and a subscript that tells where it is in the list. So A subscript 1 is my first number in the list, and that's 2. A sub 2, that's my second number in the list. That's a 5. A sub 3, the third number in the list. A sub 4, A sub 5. And to find the common difference, I'm going to take A2 minus A1, and I get 3. Or I could take A3 minus A2, also 3. A4 minus A3, 3. A5 minus A4 is 3. So here's another example. We want to find the first term and the common difference. So the first term is just the one in the front. So that's a 4. The common difference is going to be my second term minus the first term. So that's 9 minus 4, which is 5. And then I want to check. I could keep going, right, and do 14 minus 9, 19, right? But it's easier to add than to subtract, right? So I can just add it to check. 4 plus 5 is 9, 9 plus 5 is 14, 14 plus 5 is 19, 19 plus 5 is 24. So it checks. You always want to check because sometimes a tricky math teacher will take one of those numbers and change it to something that doesn't work so that it's not really an arithmetic sequence. Example 2. Again, let's find the first term and the common difference. Our first term is 34. The common difference is going to be 27 minus 34, which is negative 7. And that should make sense that it's a negative number. We're adding something negative because all of those numbers are getting smaller. So to check it, 34 minus 7, 27 minus 7, 20 minus 7, and so on. Okay. Now I've mentioned before, I'm going to say it again, math isn't about numbers as much as it is about patterns. And if we can find a pattern, we can write a formula, and that will be a useful tool to help us do less work. So let's look for a pattern. We're going to use this series, which begins with a 3, and the common difference is 4. So there's my first term. To get to my second term, right? It's the first term plus D, which is 3 plus 4, which is 7. All right, my third term. I can take the first term plus D, right? And I get the first term plus 2 differences, 2D. 3 plus 2 times 4 is 11. A reminder, order of operations, multiplication first. So 2 times 4, then plus 3. All right, A4. Well, I could just add one more D to what I have up here. So A1 plus D plus D plus D. Now I'm adding 3 of the D's. So I multiply by 3, and I get 15. So what about A5? What would that pattern look like? Well, I'd have A1 plus, right? First we had 1 D, then 2, then 3. Now we have 4 Ds. So I have 3 plus 4 times 4. That's 16 plus 3 is 19. And you might be thinking, Miss Hood, that's crazy because you could just do 15 plus 4 and that would be a lot easier. And yes, that's true. But what if we need the 100th number? Do we really want to write out or add up 100 of them? And we might make a mistake. So it's good to have this formula. So if we extend this pattern, so it works for any n, it's going to look like this. So remember, n, the nth term, that's the place that that number is in the list. So if I want the 100th term, then my n is going to equal 100. If I want the 20th term, n is equal to 20, right? So that's where it is in the list. So a sub n, right? That's the number in the sequence that we're looking for. Whatever n is equal to, 20, 100, that's what we're looking for. A sub 1 is that first term. N is the position of the term, right? Is it in first, second, third, 100th? That's what the n stands for. And D is our common difference. So let's see how this works. Let's say we want to find the 14th term in this arithmetic sequence. All right, so 14 is our n. That's the place that we're looking for. And so I use this formula, and I'm going to fill in 14 for n, right? My first term is 4. My common difference is 3. So I have 4 plus 14 minus 1 times 3. We do what's in parentheses first, so that's 13. 13 times 3 is 39. 39 plus 4 is 43. So the 14th term in the sequence is 43. Let's do another example. What if I know somewhere in this sequence, somewhere in this list, is the number 301, but I want to know where it is in the list, right? Which term has a value of 301? So now we're looking for n. So we start with our formula again, and I don't know what n is, but I know that it's term. I know the answer is 301. That's the term that's at this place I'm looking for. The first number is 4. I don't know n, but I know d. Okay, now my next step after this, I need to distribute the 3 across the parentheses, right? Because parentheses is next, so I need to get rid of those. So I've got 4 plus 3n minus 3. Now I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to take 4 minus 3. That gives me 1. 1 plus 3n. So now I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I get 300 equals 3n. And I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Get n is equal to 100. So the 100th term in this sequence is 301. And that's it. Let's do some more practice.